What is going on, guys? So, as you guys voted in the last month's poll for the subscriber choice, what if Indigo Champion Ash challenged the Johto League Part 6 was the one that took it by a milestone. I gotta say that I'm pretty surprised that this is the one you guys want to see the most out of all the subscriber choices. But without further ado, let's get into Part 6, because I promise you, there's going to be a lot of stuff that's happening. Now that things have settled down with Team Gary, let's check on Team Ash. Everyone has decided to take the rest of the day off. The ferry for CIANWOOD City doesn't leave until tomorrow morning, so Ash and Pikachu have decided to see some sights in town, as well as try some Olivine cuisine they've been hearing about, while Brock spends the rest of his time making a list of ingredients that he'll need for Amphi. This just leaves Misty alone to ponder her thoughts. Lately, she's been growing more restless. Everyone around her is growing and discovering new things about themselves, but she's just along for the ride. This internal struggle is really frustrating her. She doesn't even know why she came to Johto. She's just following Ash and Brock with no clear goal for herself. Misty spends the rest of the night pondering these things, with morning quickly coming before she knows it. Once the sun is high in the sky, the transport at CIANWOOD City begins to board. Before long, they set out over the open ocean, taking in as much of the beauty as possible. For Misty, this is especially calming. She doesn't know what it is, maybe the fresh salt air, the boat crashing through the waves, or the sound of the ocean, but she's calm. Her mind is at peace for once. This temperament is short-lived though, as it's only a few hours ride till they reach CIANWOOD City. The team arrives just before noon to a packed beach. Ash wonders what's going on, asking around in an attempt to get an answer. However, Brock reminds them of what they are here for. So reluctantly, Ash and Pikachu go to the pharmacy with Brock and Misty to get the ingredients. As the trio venture through the town, they start to see flyers advertising several strong fighting type trainers from various regions across the Pokemon world. They will be here during the fighting festival having a tournament with each other. Then, a picture on one of the flyers catches Ash's eye. It's Bruno of the Kanto Elite Four. This excites Ash. He's been wanting to follow up with Primate and his training. This is his chance to do so. There is, however, one tiny problem. The demonstration isn't for another 4 days, and Team Ash doesn't have that kind of time. They need to get the ingredients, battle the gym, and head back to Olivine City, all with only a 1-day plan. They only have less than a day, as the transport leaves tomorrow morning. This time frame completely escapes Ash, but only Ash, as the group arrives at the pharmacy. It takes a little time for Brock to gather the ingredients he needs, so he tells Ash and Misty to go ahead to the gym. He will come by once he has everything he needs. You don't have to tell Ash twice. Barely as Brock has finished those words, Ash is out the door with Misty in tow. The two make it to the gym in no time, but it's strange. It's locked, with no explanation why. This infuriates Ash as he pulls on the door with all of his strength, trying to open it. Eventually, a woman approaches Ash and Misty. She immediately recognizes Ash as the Indigo champion and apologizes for keeping him and his girlfriend waiting, urging them to come inside. The lady introduces herself as Yamada, the wife of Chuck, the leader of the CIANWOOD gym. She thought that all the demonstrators had arrived already. This confuses Ash a little as he questions, demonstrators? As he and Misty are led in the main battlefield of the gym, it's filled with different people and Pokemon that Ash has never seen before, but one of them he has, Bruno. As Ash calls the Elite Four member, he's interrupted by Yamada as she gathers the attention of everyone, introducing the Indigo champion Ash and his girlfriend. The girlfriend comment is really starting to get to Misty. Is that all anyone sees her as? What happened to the days when she was known as one of the 4 sensational sisters? But her inner monologuing is interrupted when Ash says, wait, I think you got this wrong. Misty thinks great. Ash will sort this out. But to her dismay, Ash only has one thing on his mind, as he proclaims he is not here for any demonstration. He's here for a gym battle. Yamada looks at Ash in puzzlement. This is where Bruno approaches the bunch to settle out the confusion. He tells Yamada that Ash wasn't on the card. The final member arrived while she was out shopping for food. Yamada, embarrassed, apologizes to Ash repeatedly, but Ash tells her not to worry about it. Bruno then asks Ash why he's here in CIANWOOD. Ash states that he's come here for a gym battle, but the gym was locked. Now, Bruno understands. He tells Ash that the gym is actually closed for the next week due to the festival that's going on. This saddens Ash. He really wanted a chance at another gym badge. Then Yamada chimes in. Hold that thought, Ash. I'll be right back. While she's gone, Ash asks Bruno who all the people are. Bruno tells them that the demonstration that they're going to be doing is one of fighting type Pokemon. All these people are fighting type experts from other regions, here to show their talents. Bruno then proceeds to introduce Ash to some of them across the room. Marshall from the Unova region, the Karate Master from Kanto, and the newest one here, Bruno's own apprentice, Broly from the Hoenn region. Bruno says there should be a few more here, but I guess they're not here right now. Ash then asks the burning question that he's had since he saw Bruno on the flyer. How's Primate doing? Bruno says, well, why don't you ask it for herself, as he sends it out. The pig monkey Pokemon is overjoyed to see its trainer again. thrashing about on top of him. Bruno says he brought Primeape here to help it with its training. He figured so many fighting type specialists in one area could help Primeape develop some new battle styles. With all this talk, Ash can think of nothing but his gym battle and the festival. He asks Bruno if there's any room for one more. Bruno tells Ash that they would normally be full, but if it's okay with the organizer of this year's event, he doesn't see a problem with it. Ash then asks who that is, when a voice from the doorway of the room declares, "I am." Ash looks over to see Yamada has returned, and next to her is a shirtless, hairy man. Ash then points, asking who the man is, and he declares, "I am Chuck, the leader of the CIANWOOD gym." Ash, being his usual self, eagerly goes to introduce himself, but is interrupted when Chuck says, "I know who you are." That prompts Yamada to slap Chuck in the back of the head, demanding that he not be so rude to their guests. Yamada then apologizes to Ash, saying Chuck must have forgotten his manners as a host. But this doesn't faze Ash, as he doesn't waste any time in asking if he can have a gym battle and be part of the demonstration. Chuck then tries to derail this by saying if he wanted to be in the demonstration, then he would need to be a fighting type expert and have a fighting type Pokemon. Bruno shuts this down, however, by telling Chuck he knows full well that Primeape belongs to the Indigo champion, who just so happens to be standing right before him. Bruno is sure that the spectators of the festival would love to see the demonstration from a regional champion. Chuck can't argue that, but he then tells Ash that he can't have a gym battle due to the gym being closed, so he will have to wait. This gets under Ash's skin. It seems this guy is doing everything he can to push Ash out, but just as Ash tries to say something, Yamada yells at Chuck to give the boy his gym battle. It's not like he's doing anything of importance right now anyway. Chuck flinches at his wife yelling, as it quickly becomes apparent who wears the pants in this relationship, but then Chuck comes up with a brilliant idea. "Okay kid, you want a battle and a spot in the demonstration? Then I'll give them to you, but with one stipulation. You will only get the spot in the demonstration if you can beat me in the gym battle. If you can't win, then you'll have to wait until after the festival is over to re-challenge the gym." Chuck's wife gives him a stern look, but before she could say anything, Ash accepts, asking when they can have their battle. Chuck says, "Now." Bruno asks Ash if he's going to use Primeape, but Ash declines. If the battle is now, he's had no time to get back in sync with it, so it would be foolish to use it here. He's going to go with the Pokemon he has with him. Chuck, on the other hand, is now secretly regretting what he's done. He's in no shape to battle a champion. He's been getting really lazy in his training lately. Even Yamada calls him flabby, but he put his foot in his mouth. Now he has to take it out. The two trainers take their positions on the opposite ends of the battlefield. Chuck tells Ash that this will be a 3-on-3 battle. Ash is fine with this, so the battle gets underway. All the while, the last member of the demonstration has joined the group out of curiosity due to all the commotion. Chuck starts things off strong with his Poliwrath. Ash isn't fazed though. If Chuck wants to use power, then he will do so as well. Ash knows this is a risk, but he needs to get tough, so he sends in Octillery. Ash tells Octillery to be on guard, but again, it just ignores him, going on the attack. Chuck thinks this should be easy. He can't even control his Pokemon. How did he become champion? But Chuck's lack of attentiveness to the battle catches him and Poliwrath off guard. As even though Octillery isn't responding to Ash, that doesn't mean it is a pushover, and it proves so when it begins to constrict Poliwrath to the point where it nearly blacks out. The only thing that stops Octillery is that Ash recalls it, again forfeiting another battle. This interaction does, however, catch the attention of our mysterious guest, who is watching the battle unfold from a quiet corner of the room. Even though Chuck recalls Poliwrath in defeat, the battle still goes to him. Ash doesn't dispute this, while Chuck tells him that the conduct of that Pokemon is unsportsmanlike. He should just disqualify him now. Ash is upset by this, but isn't surprised. If that's what Chuck wants to do, he won't fight it. But Chuck gets another stern look from his wife, and he relents, just saying don't let it happen again. Ash thanks Chuck and tells him that he won't be disappointed. Chuck then sends in his next Pokemon, one that Ash has never seen before. Ash pulls out his Pokedex to learn that this Pokemon is called Breloom, a fighting type Pokemon from the Hoenn region. Ash thinks, fighting grass? Okay, I got the perfect counter for this, as he sends in Magby. Chuck comments, trying to get a win with a type advantage won't get you anywhere here. Ash tells Chuck, don't worry, that's not why I sent it in. So the battle starts. Chuck starts things off with a sleep powder, knowing full well that Magby could be a problem if it lands a fire type attack. But Ash has the perfect counter for this in Fire Spin. Not only that, but the Fire Spin locks Chuck into a revolving door of damage, putting him on a clock. Well, that backfired, Chuck thinks to himself. I guess I've been trying to get too strategic. So Chuck orders Breloom to attack repeatedly with Mach Punch, hoping that Breloom will have the speed advantage. But Ash counters with a series of double teams to throw Chuck off. Chuck is having trouble keeping up with the pace of the battle. It's almost like he's out of practice, and it's starting to show as Ash gets a 1-up when Breloom misses a Mach Punch and Magby lands an Ember right to its face. This isn't enough to put down the Kenga Mushroom Pokemon though, and Chuck retaliates with the Rock Throw. This actually hits Magby, nearly knocking it out. The little Spitfire Pokemon is barely hanging on, and you can tell that its stamina has hit a wall. Chuck, seeing seeing this, orders another Mach Punch in hopes of ending the battle before the Fire Spin has a chance to end Breloom. Once the Mach Punch connects, you can tell that Magby won't make it out of this battle. So Ash orders something that catches everyone off guard. He tells Magby to use Fire Spin around it and Breloom. It's able to get off one final attack, enveloping the two battlers in flames. Once the fire dies down, both Pokemon are knocked out on the floor. This was a tough one. Ash wasn't able to gain any advantage in this battle. Chuck tells Ash if he wants to be part of the festival, then he's going to have to stop playing around. But Ash is already ahead of Chuck, not waiting for him to choose his final Pokemon, as he sends in Bayleaf. Chuck can see that the boy is finally taking things seriously, which could mean trouble for Chuck, but he knuckles down and sends in his final Pokemon, Machoke. The battle with these two starts up. Right away, you can see that Machoke is in a different league than Chuck's other Pokemon. Its training is far superior than the previous two, but Ash is up to the challenge. He uses Bayleaf's Vine Whip to his advantage, controlling the flow of battle, but Machoke is able to use its raw power to push through some of Bayleaf's defenses, connecting with high-impact moves like Cross Chop and Dynamic Punch. Bayleaf is starting to feel the pressure, but Machoke is equally as tired, breathing heavily. Unfortunately for Chuck, Bayleaf and Ash are too stubborn to be bested in battle that easily. Ash then orders Bayleaf to use a return, trying to end it here, but Chuck was ready for this, and he orders a submission. Machoke grabs Bayleaf, rolling onto the floor, using the weight of its own attack as a momentum to lock Bayleaf into a grapple that it can't break free from. Now, things have turned in Chuck's favor. It's just like the battle between Octillery and Poliwrath. The difference is Machoke is in control. It's not trying to intentionally hurt Bayleaf, it's just trying to knock it out. As Machoke slowly applies pressure, Ash can see that Bayleaf is fading fast, so he tries Vine Whip, with no success. Ash is out of options. With one last breath, Bayleaf lets out an ear-piercing cry as it starts to glow. Bayleaf triggered its own evolution in response to the bond it has with Ash. With the increase of its size as it evolves into Meganium, it is able to break Machoke's hold, getting free in the process. But the battle isn't over. Ash knows that Meganium took a lot of damage there, and the next few moves will decide the match, but they can't get in close and risk another submission. Or can they? Ash orders another return, and as Meganium rushes in, Chuck orders another submission. But Ash is ready, and he orders a Vine Whip that binds the hands of Machoke. This allows Meganium to connect with Return uninterrupted, knocking out Machoke and earning Ash's 4th badge of the Johto region. Chuck can't believe it. He was bested by this boy. He can see how he became champion of the Indigo League. Chuck swallows his pride and recalls Machoke, presenting Ash with the Storm badge. Ash celebrates with his newly evolved Meganium, thanking it for its hard work that it put in. Ash then asks the next question. So, can I have a spot in the festival? Chuck says he's a man of his word. Ash will have a spot in the demonstration. Ash celebrates excitedly with the chance to battle with all the other trainers from the other regions. This all happens as Brock arrives to a rowdy crowd talking about Ash. But as he walks in, our mysterious observer of the gym battle walks out. Brock greets Ash and Misty. Ash tells Brock that he has a chance to compete in the CIANWOOD Festival in 4 days. Brock, a little annoyed, reminds Ash that they were due back in Olivine tomorrow morning to help with the sick Ampharos. There's no way that they can do that. As all the enthusiasm that he had with his win over Chuck fades, Brock then says, how about this? Let's head to the Pokemon Center so we can discuss things. But Yamada interrupts Brock, saying that the Pokemon Center is probably booked. The trio can stay the night deciding their next move while they rest up here. Ash takes Yamada up on this offer and she shows them to their rooms. Once there, Brock scolds Ash for forgetting why they are here. They had one specific task. Ash, you're growing up. You can't just jump into things without thinking about them first. We had a commitment to Jasmine. Ash, mad that Brock, who is normally pretty relaxed, counters his argument, saying he didn't commit to anything. That was Brock's promise to Jasmine. Brock becomes quiet at this remark. Ash, not wanting to argue anymore, walks out of the room. He heads to the beach to clear his head. After some time, the sun eventually sets, and Brock joins Ash on the beach. He apologizes to Ash for how he reacted. Ash starts to do the same when Brock tells him to stop. He's got something to say first. Brock tells Ash that with all the time he spent caring for Pokemon over their journey together, he's come to realize that the paths that he and Ash walk are starting to change. They are no longer on a similar goal. Ash looks at Brock as he continues to say that after the time he spent with Professor Elm, Brock came to the conclusion that he wanted to begin his studies as a Pokemon doctor. But there's only one problem. Brock can't do that if he's constantly traveling with Ash and Misty. So Brock has made a decision. Tomorrow, he's going back to Olivine, alone. Once he completes his treatment of Amphi, he will be heading back to Professor Elm. He intends to intern under him to get the necessary hours to enter the Pokemon Medical Institute. Ash has been silent this whole time, and Brock asks his thoughts on the decision that has been made. Ash just sighs. I kind of figured this would happen sooner or later, he says. Ash tells Brock that he's surprised it took him this long. I thought you would eventually follow your own path, especially after I won the Indigo League. I didn't think you would want to come out to Johto with me. Brock tells Ash that at first, he was happy to go on another adventure with him, but as time went on, with all of their new experiences, things have changed. Ash agrees with Brock, but admits that he just didn't want the time together to come to an end. Brock tells Ash that he feels the same way, but not to worry. They'll always be friends. The best of friends, Ash says, as they shake hands, looking off into the night sky. The next morning, after Brock says his goodbyes to Misty and Ash, he boards the boat bound for Olivine City, leaving our trio as a duo. Though painful, they wave goodbye to their friend as he disappears off into the distance. But Ash has little time to dwell on Brock's departure from the group, as now he has to prepare for the CIANWOOD Festival. His first order of business is to get back in sync with Primeape. He's got 3 days to do so, and Ash plans to spend all of his time doing that. So, at the gym, he practices with not only Primeape, but his other Pokemon, except for Octillery, as the training with Primeape could be fruitful for the rest of them. Meanwhile, Misty is in town, hearing talks of a water Pokemon competition that will be starting after the fighting festival is over. This captures Misty's whole attention, as she spends the rest of her days in CIANWOOD City trying to find out as much about it as possible. On the second day of training, Ash enters the gym, only to find that it's used by another. Ash apologizes for his interruption, but the girl tells him not to worry about it. Ash says he's seen her around over the last few days, but he doesn't think they've been properly introduced. But as Ash attempts to do so, the girl cuts him off, saying she knows who he is. Then she says her name is Bee, a gym leader from the Galar region. Ash asks Bee if she would like to have a practice battle with him. She declines, stating he would lose, and she doesn't see any point in having a battle that she knows she's going to win. This statement doesn't sit well with Ash, as he tried to throw his champion title around. But Bee just counters that with saying the region she's from, the gym leaders there are as strong as Elite Four members, so she knows that she would win. But Ash is persistent. He won't take no for an answer, especially now that she's insulted his title. Ash cuts her off as she tries to leave a gym. He won't let her leave until she battles him. Bee looks in his eyes. Something about them changes her mind. Okay, if you want to battle, then I pick the stipulation. Ash says, okay, what are they? But Bee says, no, first you agree, then I will tell you. Ash doesn't care, so he accepts. Bee smiles. Okay then, we'll each use one Pokemon, and I choose the Pokemon that you use. Ash is curious about this, as he's never had an opponent to choose his Pokemon in the battle before. But he says okay, which one? Pointing to all the Pokemon standing behind him. Bee looks over them, but she doesn't see the one she wants to battle. Octillery. Where is it? She says. Ash asks, why that one? Thinking she didn't even know that he had that. Ash at first refuses, telling her to choose another one of his Pokemon. But Bee just says no, Octillery or nothing. Ash grits his teeth. He knows he could just walk away. He knows Octillery won't listen, but he could just let it battle her, and once it's performed one of its questionable victories, he could just recall it. Ash finally agrees. Bee smiles, and the two take their positions. Ash sends in Octillery, and it is wondering why it is out. It doesn't see an opponent, but it does see Ash's other Pokemon, so it begins to make its way toward them until Bee calls it, hey, I have your opponent right here, as she sends out her Pokemon. As it emerges, this Pokemon looks strikingly similar to Octillery. Bee says this is one of her strongest Pokemon, Graplocked. Octillery sees this Pokemon, and its sole focus is on it. Octillery goes on the attack without the command of Ash, but Bee and her Graplock are ready for it. What follows is a beating worse than what Goku gave Nappa in the Dragon Ball Bridge series. There is no contest. Ash is beginning to see what Bee said is a true statement. She is as strong as an Elite Four member. Octillery doesn't stand a chance, but it refuses to quit. Each time it gets knocked down, it struggles back up. Ash is just watching as this brutal showing happens. Bee then addresses Octillery directly. You know, I told your trainer that you two would lose before the battle began. Octillery freezes. Bee continues to say that maybe if you listen to your trainer, then you would stand a chance. Octillery looks back at Ash, but it refuses to acknowledge him as its trainer. So, Octillery goes on the attack again, but Bee is growing tired of this battle. So, she orders Graplock to finish it with a move Ash has never seen before. Close combat. Octillery attempts to use its limbs to block the assault, but Graplock is well trained. It can see each move coming before Octillery makes it. In a flash, it's over. Octillery is down, while it couldn't even hit Graplock. Ash rushes to its side to see if Octillery is okay. Its injuries look pretty bad, but the stubborn octopi looks on, not at Ash, but at the girl and her partner. Ash thinks, Octillery has never lost like that. Even though it wouldn't listen to him, it's always been one of his strongest Johto Pokemon, never really losing a battle. Bee looks directly at Octillery. When you can get stronger, then I'll allow you to battle us. But until then, you will always be second best. This means you will always be last place. Ash hears this comment, and as he watches Octillery, it looks down, almost to hang its head in shame. Ash then looks on as Bee walks out, saying a trainer will only ever be as good as their bond with their Pokemon. Ash attempts to recall Octillery, but with the last of its strength, it knocks the ball out of Ash's hand, passing out in the process. Ash then picks up Octillery to carry it back to the Pokemon Center. Several hours later, Octillery finally awakes, to find Ash waiting for it. He didn't want Octillery to be startled by him being so close to it when he woke up. Octillery, however, doesn't react how he thought. Instead of lashing out, it's calm, just looking at Ash and Pikachu. Octillery then tries to move, but it's in a lot of pain, more than it's ever felt. Ash just tells it to wait. If it doesn't take the time to heal, then it won't get stronger. Octillery tries to ignore Ash, but realizes Ash is right when it attempts to move, but its body won't respond properly. It has no choice. It's stuck. Ash doesn't leave Octillery's side. The rest of the day, they just sit in the room. Ash does, however, have Primeape around during this time. This is a Pokemon that Octillery is unfamiliar with. As it observes Ash's interaction with Primeape, the more it watches, the more its interest is piqued. Moving on to the day before the demonstration, Ash and Octillery are now at the beach with Primeape when they run into B and grapple locked. The interaction is one of tension. Octillery wants to battle again, even though it's nowhere near ready to. Ash tells it to stop, but it's Primeape that steps in with Octillery. The two seem to have a conversation. B asks Ash what this is about, and Ash explains that when he caught Primeape, it didn't really listen. Every time I sent it out, it ended with the black eye. B says, yeah, that sounds like a fighting type. How did you get over the barrier with Primeape? Ash tells her he entered a fighting type tournament with Primeape, but he nearly lost until Primeape realized that all I wanted to do was help it get stronger. After that, we went on to win the tournament and many other battles. Bay tells Ash that it sounds like they have a lot of experiences together. Ash tells her that Primeape also had a rivalry with its Charizard when it wouldn't listen to him. I'm starting to sense a pattern, Ash, B says. Yeah, I seem to be a magnet for stubborn Pokemon, but that doesn't mean I'm going to give up on them. The same is with Octillery. Just because it won't listen doesn't mean I'm going to give up on it. B tells Ash that he has the right mindset, but sometimes that won't matter. Certain Pokemon just can't be tamed, and it's your responsibility to make that call. It's what's best for the trainer and Pokemon. Ash looks at Octillery and Primeape. He has a decision to make. B then takes her leave. After sundown, Ash and his Pokemon return to the gym. Ash has to put in some time with Primeape for the demonstration tomorrow, so that's what he does, allowing Octillery to watch on through the night. The next day, the festival's main events kick off with a fighting type tournament that pits 8 different trainers against each other, with very similar rules to the pre-1 Grand Prix from Kanto. Each trainer is only allowed 1 Pokemon, and the battle is a single elimination style. Things kick off and B ends up facing Bruno in his Machamp in the first match. The battle is a quick one though, as Grapplock is a perfect counter to Machamp's 4 limbs, taking it down in only a few swift moves. Ash then as well takes his turn with Primeape, quickly moving through the ranks to the final round. Misty with Pikachu and Octillery look on. Octillery is paying very close attention to Ash and Primeape. The finals end up being a rematch between B and Ash. This slightly irritates Octillery, as it wanted to be the one to battle Grapplock again, but it has no choice. B said it wouldn't get a chance to rematch until it got stronger, which it's still trying to figure out how. The battle gets going, and the clash between Primeape and Grapplock is a mighty one. But unsurprisingly, Ash and Primeape are in sync, like the two were never apart. The battle has the crowd cheering on their feet. Ash, a regional champion, battling a gym leader from Galar, who are widely known to be on par with many Elite Four members from around the world, is something rarely seen. But what Octillery is looking at is Ash and Primeape. These two are able to oppose the Pokemon it couldn't beat. All they are doing differently is teamwork, foreign concept to the 8-legged battler. In the end, the battle ends in a draw, with both Mons connecting a focus punch, knocking each other out. Chuck raises both Ash and B's hands, thanking them for giving the crowd such an awesome battle. After the festival concludes later that night, B tells Ash she was glad to have a chance to battle him. She looks forward to the next one, but here is where she takes her leave. The challenge season in the Galar region is going to start soon, and she has to get back to open up her gym. Octillery watches as B and Grapplock walk off to board a ship. It won't get its rematch. Octillery starts to make a fuss, pointing Ash in the direction of B and Grapplock. Ash understands what it's trying to tell him, but he tells Octillery, remember, B said she wouldn't battle you until you got stronger. So until that happens, that's a no-go, but if you would like, I will help you train. Octillery looks at Ash. Will it really allow this trainer to help it train? Up till now, it never needed help to get stronger, but it thinks back to the conversation it had with Primeape and how it watched it battle yesterday. It was able to tie with Grapplock. Octillery knows that it could do better than that. It looks at Ash and nods to his request. It will train with him, but only to get stronger. Ash tells Octillery, don't worry, we can keep our relationship strictly professional. It's not like we have to be friends. So, it seems that Octillery has finally started to come around to Ash. The next morning, Ash and Misty have to decide their next move. The next gym for Ash is in Goldenrod City. There's a ferry that sails there from a place called the Whirl Islands. This is when Misty tells Ash that she heard that there is a water Pokemon tournament taking place in the Whirl Islands. It's called the Whirl Cup, and she wants to take part in it. Ash actually has no problem with this, as it'll be a great training exercise for Octillery. So, with that, Ash and Misty say their goodbyes to Chuck and his wife, thanking them for their hospitality. Ash then bids farewell to Bruno, thanking him for all the work that he's done with Primeape. Bruno tells Ash that they aren't even close to being done. The next time they meet, it won't even be the same Pokemon. Ash tells Primeape that he's proud of it, and to continue getting stronger. With a teary goodbye, they part ways, heading for the port of CIANWOOD. After an hour or so, the ferry is finally ready to board. As Ash and Misty walk up the ramp, in the distance, Ash can hear someone calling, Ash! Ash Ketchum! Champion Ash! Ash Ash turns to scan the crowd. In the distance, he can make off a vague outline of someone in green running towards him. The young trainer finally reaches Ash and Misty, and out of breath, he introduces himself as Vincent, and he is Ash's biggest fan. And that's all we have for part 6 of What If Indigo Champion Ash challenged the Johto League. What did you guys think about this part? How did you feel about the inclusion of Bee and her shiny Graplocked? I really feel that that was a missed opportunity in Pokemon Journeys. I think that she should have had that one. And how do you feel about Octillery and Ash's growth? What did you think about the tournament they had? I know it was kind of short, but I definitely wanted to include other regions as you saw in part 5. As I feel like at this point, with Ash being a champion, he would start getting more exposure to other regions and other Pokemon that he's never seen before outside of the 2 regions he's been in. Let me know in the comments down below. If you enjoyed the video, please drop a like for the YouTube algorithm. Also, don't forget to subscribe. And if you want to interact more with me, don't forget to join the Discord and follow me on Twitter. And if you want to support me any further, head over to my Patreon. Just $5 a month gets you 1 week early access to all of my videos. These awesome people have already donated, so I can continue to bring you the content that you love. The links for all of these are in the description below. Anyway, I'm Ronan Charizard, and I'll see you in the next video.